close to a year ago now, I decided I'd do something that was massively out of the ordinary for my channel, where I mostly talk about animated content, throwing in the occasional bigger name live action show or film on top of that, stuff from Marvel, Star Wars, or big budget fantasy. That sort of thing. That was my wheelhouse, and I never really strayed outside of that. It's not that I didn't watch anything outside of those genres, I just figured nobody would care about me talking about them. After all, it is a pretty big shift in genre to make, and I wasn't sure there'd be that much of an audience overlap. Then last year I decided, screw it, I want to do something different now, and I made a couple of videos about Bridgerton, because I'm an unabashed stan. I've been pretty busy in the last little while, and so I actually missed a bunch of new Bridgerton content, which dropped in February. Nothing huge, just some still images and a first look trailer. Normally, I wouldn't particularly care to talk about crumbs of this size, as I just wait for a proper trailer to come out. But then I got a feeling, and went to the Bridgerton Wikipedia page to take a quick look, specifically at filming and release dates for Season 3. Season 3 filmed in July 2022, and wrapped in March 2023. Good God, that is a hefty schedule, factoring in post-production and also just Netflix release scheduling, trying to maximize subscribers and whatnot. It didn't end up releasing for over a year. I get it, post is long, but good God. So that means between seasons, it's a long wait for the common man, especially when they don't start filming for ages afterwards as they get schedules and sets and costumes and scripts ready. Those long breaks between the seasons for the big shows really do kill me inside. Regardless, this led me to take a look at the filming dates for Season 4. They started filming in September of last year, and are still going through to late April. Based on how long it took to get Season 3 out after they finished filming, I'd be expecting a long wait. There are a couple of schools of thought here. Some people think it's probably going to be a full year until we see anything. Then some folks are using the timing from the previous Season 3 first look trailer to extrapolate how many months away we are from a release announcement, and then couple that with some even more extrapolation as to how long from that announcement it was until the release of the season. I'm honestly not committed enough to do those calculations, but I see people hopeful for a December or perhaps January release, so maybe that as well. Regardless, all of this means that we are still a long way off from any sort of release. So, I don't know, I figured I may as well take a closer look at all this first look stuff, because I need my Bridgerton fix and I need it now. So I'm going to work my way through some of the stuff that's been posted online so far and see what we can piece together. Also, I do have some semblance of what's going to happen this season. I read some summaries of the books. I don't think I'd want to read the actual books, don't think they're up my alley. And so I have a general knowledge, but not much beyond that. That means for the most part I'm flying rather blind, since the writers do make some rather liberal changes to the source material based on what they think is going to make for better TV. Fair enough, you gotta do what you gotta do. All I'm saying is forgive me if I get a little bit muddled. So we have a bunch of still images and then the trailer thingy. We'll start with the trailer as that has the most content to work with. We start off said trailer with a look at Francesca at the famous masquerade ball, which I'm pretty sure was referenced at the end of the previous season, and which seems to make up most of the promotional material and fan excitement surrounding this one. As I said, we have a first look at Francesca here. I do wonder how they're going to play out her storyline this season. A quick glance at the Bridgerton subreddit or any other social media space well and truly proves that whilst there's a lot of fan excitement surrounding her and Michaela's eventual story, that there's also a lot of anger surrounding the divergences that they've made from the book too. As somebody with no dog in the race, I hope people don't get too crazy. Might be asking a bit much from the internet though. We also get a look at the evil stepmother. Man, she is looking young. I guess that probably is somewhat historically accurate though. Also, is she in mourning, or are they just going hard on making her seem completely wicked? In my experience, most cruel bullies and abusive parents don't just dress in full black. I guess it does make her stand out from the crowd though, where most characters are clad in brighter garments. Maybe this actually is a really good creative choice. We then get some brief shots of the masquerade ball, and then of Lady Danbury and the Queen, as always costumed to perfection. I have no idea what actual period accurate attire is. All I know is that I live for those wigs, and I live for Lady Danbury's excellent hats. I do wonder what sort of storyline they're going to cook up here this time. The Whistledown hunt is over with, but it does feel like you'd want them involved in the seasons to a significant degree. They're very popular characters. They're some of the best side characters in general. I guess Violet was romancing Lady Danbury's brother, right? Lord Handsome Guy. So maybe they'll show up there. At this point, the music hits, and I gotta say, I always forget about the music when this show releases. I think it's my favorite thing. They take those modern songs and they just smash it out in Regency style. It makes the ballroom scene so fun. It's like they saw those YouTube videos that are all, insert song here, but medieval style, bard style, epic style, classical style, you name it, they've got it. And they just thought, wow, let's do that. That sounds great. It is strange to think, but I think it gives the show its own unique identity. In the brief flash of clips, we get a look at John in his masquerade getup. Tell you what though, after seeing his character's story arc last season, I'm kind of dreading the rest of it. It just feels so sad. Unless they manage to spring it on us that this dude is also not exactly interested in his wife in that way, then I don't know, it's just tragic. Ugh, let's move on. It is just behind the scenes stuff, but we also see a bit of Benedict and Eloise. Good. I think one thing they need to do is try to flesh out these sibling bonds again and make them more relevant overall to the story. Obviously, Daphne's not coming back, probably ever. Maybe in the final season they'll lure them all, who knows. Anthony's probably just going to be a bit part going forward as his actor's doing bigger and bigger things. And so sometimes it feels that despite the show being named Bridgerton, that it's so disconnected from those family vibes you got in Season 1. Season 1 really was the best in that regard. And they did still have it in Season 2, but it's really faded away more in Season 3. They got to restore that feeling. Looks like we'll still be getting some Colin and Penn focus, which should be good too. I do feel like Bridgerton loves to build the drama right to the last moment of the season, and thus you miss out on a lot of fluff or what happens next storylines as the couple gets shafted to the side. I'd enjoy seeing a bit more of that. There's also a clip of the Queen and Brimsley, and I live for this friendship. Keep building it forever. I think they said that Reynolds is still alive in this canon, but he didn't end up filming the scenes or they cut it or whatever. Will we ever get to follow up on that? Or is it going to be a forever loose end sort of thing? I guess the ending where Brimsley's dancing alone does work quite well to finish it off though, doesn't it? We see a few more masquerade designs, Violet's looking elegant. We're getting some more Violet romance in this season. I'm down for that. Lord Handsome was probably my favourite part of the previous season. He was so suave. You love to see it. We see Sophie and Benedict. And yeah, I think I'll be more invested in this storyline when it starts to play out. For me currently, I just don't really care about Benedict at all. His storyline across the last couple of seasons has felt a bit all over the place, and so it's hard to get behind it. And so it'll take some time for me to get past that. The Masquerade Ball looks pretty awesome though, I have to say. They're really highlighting it a lot here, so I'm expecting big things. They really hone in on this character as well. Who is this? Am I supposed to know? Is this a me thing, not being able to recognize this character? Although their costume does go hard. A lot of the characters of the ball are dressed elegantly, and that's all well and good, but seeing some of the more wild and outlandish costumes, that's what I'm here for. The complete decadence that permeates these absurd upper crust families. Hell yeah. Also, the guy that came dressed up with the creepy mask. There's always one, isn't there? Queen's looking good. Hell yeah, Penn the pirate. So here she is just whispering in the Queen's ear. Is she just openly going to be the gossip rag of the town now? Do you think they'll actually show a realistic depiction of what would happen to someone in that situation? I.e., nobody ever wanting to speak with her or be near her because of the mad shit she talks in her newsletter? Or will they just breeze on past it like it's barely an inconvenience? Regardless of her story though, I'm glad one of the leads got a glorious costume like this. What a mighty hat that is. Then the Cinderella vibes kick in, with Sophie very much being portrayed as a servant. So, that's Benedict late at night with her in the dark room, right? Does she go and work for the Bridgertons? Or is he, for some reason, at her family home, where I presume she'd be forced to work? Good golly. We're going to have another family love triangle? If so, I'm going to cry. Is another suit of a Violet going to crawl their ass out of the woodwork too? If they do go that route though, please do something different. Something funny. Bridgerton love triangles are played out and we all know it. So let's have Benedict briefly go after the mum instead. That would be top tier. We already know that the man is a big game hunter, having contended with cougars before. Maybe he goes out on safari and that's how he meets Sophie again. Perhaps it's a good thing that I'm not a screenwriter for Bridgerton. Oh, and we see more dancing and Scruffy Anthony. Hell yeah. Although he probably won't be in much of this season, will he? I mean, who knows? I think his big films were already in post-production when they started filming this. I'm not one of those people that tracks actors' schedules and movements, so you'd have to tell me. That brings us to the end of the clips, although we still have the stills released as well. We start off with one of Benedict and Sophie, where they're getting very up close and personal. I have to ask, how's this all working? Is the ball the first time they ever meet? The first thing they're doing? Getting pretty up close and personal for their first meeting, I must say. Also, Ben's looking good, damn. Looking very roguish, although it is funny because in the next picture you see him up close, and his mask looks very cheap, like one of those masks you'd get out of a dollar store superhero costume that they keep in the back aisle. Also, up close, I'm not a huge fan of her masks, to tell you the truth. It's all glammed up, but it kind of looks like she's wearing a bandage for a facial injury. We have some pictures of stepmother and they half-sisters, stepsisters? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not fully knowledgeable. And it really is quite funny just how much the mum is standing out here. That black dress is doing wonders. We see the family interacting with little baby Bridgerton. I hope the younger sister gets some more screen time as well, just to flesh things out. Get her involved in Violet stuff maybe, that might be funny. Then we have a picture of Eloise and Penn back to being best buds. I wonder if they start to kick off any of Eloise's storyline now. After all, they did set up Francesca and will continue to do so this season, I would expect, in preparation for what I would assume is the next season to focus on her. So surely they need to start doing something with Eloise. I feel like that's the natural next step of her story. It doesn't even need to be romantic, just something. Begin that slow burn. Also, it seems that Eloise is once again being forced to socialize, as the sisters are hanging out with her and Hyacinth in the final still I could find. Maybe they will be giving Hyacinth some more screen time. Hopefully some more meaningful screen time, especially with the siblings. We'll have to wait and see though, won't we? Oh, and just as I was writing this, some other photos were released of the downstairs, the servants, and that's actually pretty cool. I enjoy to focus on that sort of thing in Queen Charlotte. It made for a great change of pace and gave the story a different feel. Hopefully they actually give it some proper focus, other than just to showcase, oh, look how shit her life is. Good thing she'll get raised out of this when she marries Benedict and can become somebody. And then the story goes back to pretending like the pores don't have any relevance. I am optimistic though, we'll see. There's another one of Footman John, a maid, and the housekeeper staring at something, likely Sophie, and hell yeah, give me more Footman John scenes. He's one of my favourite bit parts in the entire show, and I certainly wouldn't be complaining if he gets a bit more airtime. But for the love of God, no more love triangles. Then to finish, there's another still of the Queen sitting down with Brimsley behind her. Doesn't really reveal all that much and feels more promotional than anything else. And so, yeah, I think that's all there is for now. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. With all that being said, these have just been my opinions, and I'd like to hear yours. What do you think of everything we've talked about so far? Is there anything you'd like to add? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.